Jay, I understand you have some breaking news in the Senate leader race. What's the latest?
We do. Sources tell our ABC News Capitol Hill team, including our Rachel Scott, our chief Capitol Hill correspondent, and then, of course, our Allie Pecorin as well, that in that race to replace Mitch McConnell as the Senate Majority Leader, the leader of Republicans in the Senate who now control that chamber after this election, John Thune has won. Thune is the current #2 Republican in the Senate, senator of South Dakota. He beat out John Cornyn, the former #2 Republican in the Senate, current senator of Texas, for this role. John Thune was always considered to be the favorite because of his current purchase, the #2, also because he's popular amongst his Senate colleagues. But there was some consternation in this race, Diane, as we had long discussed, not just because he had a challenger in John Cornyn, but because there was this third challenger, Rick Scott, who tried to run this kind of outside MAGA bid to replace Mitch McConnell. He got the endorsement of Elon Musk. He was close with Donald Trump over the last few years, and in fact, as Donald Trump was in that kind of political exile at Mar-a-Lago, flying frequently to Mar-a-Lago to get his picture taken with Donald Trump, at one point even giving him an award, Rick Scott did. And then he had the endorsement of some of further right senators in that conference. And then, of course, he had endorsers from outside the Senate as well. I mentioned Elon Musk. But the reality here is that this was always going to be a vote of who Senate Republicans, who have just captured the majority, with large part the help of Donald Trump, wanted to lead them, not the outside noise from social media or influencers or those in the MAGA space. This was always going to be, who do Senate Republicans, a traditionally stodgier chamber, sometimes an even bipartisan chamber, who did they want to lead them? And they picked someone that has been the #2 for quite some time in that chamber, John Thune.
So, Jay, what does that choice tell you? Because unlike the speakership, these are private votes, right? They vote by secret ballot. So what does this choice really say about what Republicans in the Senate want from their leadership?
I mean, it's a reminder of the fact that Republicans in the Senate are still their own body. This is not a rejection necessarily of Donald Trump, who did not put his thumb on the scale for any one of these candidates. He did not come out of his way to endorse Rick Scott or Thune or Cornyn or really anyone in this race. He did say that whoever is the Senate Majority Leader, whoever replaces Mitch McConnell, who Donald Trump has had a long, frosty relationship with, that they should give him the power to exercise recess appointments. That's something that the president has the constitutional power to do, but the Senate always essentially gets in the way of that because they don't go on recess for a long enough period of time to allow the president to make these recess appointments, which is appointing someone to the cabinet for a period of 2 years in which they don't have to be confirmed by the Senate. Donald Trump says he wants that power. He wants the Senate to get out of the way and let him exercise that power because it would allow him to essentially stack his cabinet for this new administration at the outset with whoever he wanted for a period of 2 years, and they wouldn't have to go to a vote. They wouldn't have to go through these maybe long and fraught confirmation hearings. Democrats couldn't slow the process. Moderate Republicans couldn't block people that they found objectionable. John Thune expressed that he was open to that. Rick Scott fully bought into the idea. And so now we've got to see with this idea of recess appointments, when you talk about a potential challenge to Donald Trump, do these Senate Republicans, who just got the majority with the help of Donald Trump, give Donald Trump that power that he expressly asked for?
And John, what does this pick mean for President-elect Trump now?
I mean, I hate to say this, and we're obviously recorded on live TV. Jay, I have to agree with you. You're welcome. You know, the reality is Donald Trump stayed out of this. You know, he didn't see a path to actually win this race. Rick Scott is definitely his guy. They've been very close for a long, long time. Susie Wiles, who ran the campaign, incoming chief of staff, was originally on Team Rick Scott years ago when he was in the governor's office and, you know, had his Senate race as well. But I think what the Thune pick suggests a little bit is that it's going to be business as usual in the Senate, right? It's going to have that calmness. It's not going to, you know, you're not having a firebrand or anybody up there. And I do think in some ways, you know, go along to get along, right? Donald Trump is the star of the Republican Party, period, full stop. So as long as John Thune stays on that team, doesn't need to come out as a diehard supporter, is never going to be seen as a MAGA person, because he's not. He was a Mitch McConnell alkalite. I think that, you know, not too much will change, nor does it really impact Donald Trump. As long as they carry out the agenda and execute. And the next 2 years are really going to be what's telling, because he's got the Senate majority, looks like he's going to have the House majority. If the White House and the Hill are organized and can execute a real agenda here, that's where you're going to see the results.
All right. Jay O'Brien, John Santucci, thank you both.